Imagine a world where the boundaries of language dissolve into a rhythmic heartbeat that echoes from the neon-lit streets of Seoul to the historic stages of the American music industry. For decades, the Western awards scene felt like an impenetrable fortress for K-pop, a place where legends were born but outsiders were rarely crowned. But then, the sonic tide turned. A wave of talent and sheer determination swept across the Pacific, not just knocking on the door, but shattering the glass ceiling into a billion shimmering pieces. We are talking about more than just viral hits. We are talking about the ultimate recognition, the Billboard Music Awards, the high-octane MTV VMAs, the American Music Awards, and even the elusive Grammy nominations. In this special journey, we explore the titans who forced the industry to rewrite its rules and claimed the most coveted American trophies. Who are the legends that turned K-pop into a global standard of excellence? Which group holds the record for the most prestigious wins on American soil? Are you ready to dive into the stories of struggle and triumph that changed music history forever? Which of your idols made it to the very top of this golden list? Let's find out. Number 7. Stray Kids. The self-produced kings, roaring on the Billboard, the VMA explosion. The year was 2023, and the air inside the Prudential Center in New Jersey was thick with anticipation. A palpable energy that only the MTV Video Music Awards can generate, as the world watched to see who would claim the throne of the best K-pop category. When the name Stray Kids was announced, the reaction wasn't just a cheer, it was a seismic shift in the landscape of global music, marking the moment these stray children truly found their home at the pinnacle of the American industry. This wasn't just a win for a song, it was a win for a philosophy of self-reliance, a testament to the vision of Bangtan and his brothers-in-arms, who refused to let the traditional industry mold define their sound or their destiny. To understand the weight of this prestigious VMA Moon Person trophy and their subsequent Billboard Music Award, we have to look back at the gritty, neon-soaked journey of 8 individuals who were told their music was too noisy for the mainstream. Stray Kids didn't just walk into the American market, they kicked the door down with the thunderous bass of 3RACHA's production, proving that a group that writes, produces, and arranges their own tracks could dominate the most competitive charts on the planet. Their story is one of radical authenticity, beginning with a survival show where the members weren't chosen by a CEO, but by a leader who handpicked his family based on talent and trust, creating a bond that is visible in every synchronized move and every raw lyric they perform. When they released S-Class, the track that secured their VMA victory, they weren't just singing about being special. They were manifesting a reality where a K-pop group could debut at number 1 on the Billboard 204 consecutive times, a feat so rare it puts them in the same breath as musical titans like Taylor Swift and the Beatles. The emotional resonance of their American success is deeply tied to the Stay fandom, a global community that saw themselves in the members' struggles with identity, pressure, and the courage to be different, turning every American tour stop into a religious experience of lights and sound. We remember the image of Taylor Swift herself standing up to applaud their VMA performance, a symbolic passing of the torch, or perhaps an acknowledgement of equals, as Stray Kids transformed the stage into a chaotic, yet perfectly choreographed masterpiece of Korean culture, fused with modern hip-hop. Their background is rooted in the Stray Kids title itself, young people wandering, searching for their path, and seeing them stand on that American stage, clutching a trophy that many thought was out of reach for a noisy self-produced group, brought tears to the eyes of fans who had followed them since the Elevator days. They brought the ordinary to the extraordinary, proving that their manic energy was exactly what the Western world was craving. A sonic explosion that defied the polished stereotypes of K-pop and replaced them with something jagged, real, and undeniably powerful. Beyond the VMAs, their impact on the Billboard Music Awards as the top K-pop album winners solidified their status not as a fleeting trend, but as a permanent fixture in the American cultural zeitgeist, bridging the gap between the underground spirit of 3RACHA and the glitz of Hollywood. Every award they've received in America serves as a middle finger to the skeptics who said K-pop was a manufactured product, because Stray Kids is the ultimate proof that the kids are in charge of the machine, steering it toward a future where language is no barrier to world domination. As we reflect on their journey, we see a group that survived the intense scrutiny of the Korean idol system only to face the daunting challenge of the Western market, and they did it all without losing a shred of their identity, wearing their Korean heritage proudly while speaking the universal language of rebellion and hope. Their American accolades are more than just gold-plated statues. They are milestones in a revolution led by Bangtan, Lee No, Changbin, Hyunjin, Han, Felix, Songmin, and IN, reminding every dreamer that being a stray is actually the first step toward becoming a king. The atmosphere of their rise is cinematic, a montage of late nights in the studio, the sweat of the practice room, and the deafening roar of sold-out American stadiums that finally culminated in that historic night in New Jersey, where the world had no choice but to listen to their noise. They have redefined what it means to be a global artist in the 2020s, proving that if you stay true to your sound, the world will eventually tune in to your frequency, and the prestigious awards will follow like shadows to their light. But as Stray Kids sits at number 7 on our list with their growing collection of American hardware, it makes you wonder if a group this revolutionary is only the starting point. What kind of earth-shattering achievements await us as we climb higher? Who could possibly have claimed even more prestige and broken even more records than the kings of the S-Class era? The journey is only getting more intense, and the next name on our list is a group that didn't just break records. They redefined the very concept of a global phenomenon in a way that still leaves critics speechless. Are you ready to see who takes the next spot in this Hall of Fame? Number 6. 17. The Power of 13, conquering the VMA stage, the self-producing legends of harmony. Imagine standing in a cramped, humid basement in Seoul, a place affectionately known as the Green Room, where the walls seemed to close in on 13 young boys who had nothing but a dream and a promise, symbolized by a small, shining ring on their pinky fingers. Back then, in those early days of 2013 and 2014, the idea of these 13 individuals standing on a stage in New Jersey, clutching a moon person from the MTV Video Music Awards, felt like a scene from a fever dream, yet that is exactly where their relentless spirit led them. 17's journey to the prestigious American awards stage is not just a story of catchy melodies. It is an epic saga of a self-producing powerhouse that had to fight for every inch of ground they gained in a Western industry that often struggles to comprehend the logistics of a 13-member group. When they were announced as the winners of the Push Performance of the Year at the 2022 MTV VMAs, it was a moment of profound validation for a group that had spent nearly a decade perfecting the art of synchronization and emotional storytelling. This award was particularly significant because the Push category is designed to highlight the future of music, the artists who are truly moving the needle on a global scale. And 17 proved that their performance isn't just about dance, it's about an unparalleled energy that bridges the gap between the audience and the artist. But the prestige didn't stop there. The group's American dominance was further cemented when they took home the top K-pop touring artist at the 2023 Billboard Music Awards, a trophy that speaks volumes about their literal footprint on American soil. To win a BBMA in a touring category is to say that you have moved hearts and sold out stadiums across the United States, from the Kia Forum in Los Angeles to the massive arenas of the East Coast, turning every venue into a sea of rose quartz and Serenity light sticks. The atmosphere of their rise in America is defined by the Be the Sun and Follow tours, where the complexity of their 13-member formations left American critics and fans alike in a state of absolute awe, wondering how such a large group could move as a single, breathing organism. We have to talk about the genius of Woozi, the tiny but mighty producer who has spent countless nights in the Universe Factory studio, crafting a discography that ranges from the youthful Adore You to the thunderous Anthemic Super, a song that resonated so deeply in the US that it felt like a cultural shift. The background of 17 is one of survival and brotherhood. They are a group that was formed under a company, Pledis Entertainment, that was facing financial uncertainty, often forcing the members to take charge of their own choreography, led by the performance wizard Hoshi and their own songwriting. This do-it-yourself spirit is what the American audience truly connected with, the authenticity of seeing 13 brothers who genuinely love each other and their craft, refusing to let the industry's manufactured labels stick to them. Think back to the sheer intensity of their hot era, where they brought the heat of the desert to the American charts, or the emotional depth of Don't Wanna Cry, which became a gateway for many Western fans to enter the world of K-pop. Their prestige in America is also bolstered by their historic appearance at the UNESCO Youth Forum in Paris. While not an American award, it amplified their global standing, which directly translated into their US success, making them a household name among the elite of the music world. When S-Coups, Jongin, Joshua, Jun, Hoshi, Wonwoo, Woozi, The Eight, Mingyu, DK, Seungkwan, Vernon, and Dino finally stood as recognized winners on the Billboard and MTV stages, it was the culmination of thousands of hours in the practice room, the pain of injuries, and the uncertainty of whether 13 people could actually stay together in an industry designed to pull them apart. They didn't just win awards, they won the respect of an entire industry that now looks at 17 as the gold standard for performance and unity. Every time Vernon, the group's bridge between cultures with his American roots, speaks at an American press conference or award show, there is a sense of pride that radiates from the members, a realization that they are no longer the kids in the green basement, but the titans of the global stage. Their American accolades serve as a middle finger to the skeptics, who said 13 members were too many or that self-producing was just a marketing gimmick. For 17, it is a way of life that has earned them a seat at the most prestigious tables in the US music scene. The reflection of their success is seen in the eyes of the Carrots, who filled the seats at the BBMAs and VMAs, cheering not just for a group, but for a family that gave them hope. 17's story is a reminder that prestige isn't just handed out, it is forged in the fire of perseverance. And as they continue to break their own records on the Billboard 200, one can't help but feel that their American trophy shelf is far from full. They have transformed from a group that was once hidden into a beacon of light that shines across the Pacific, proving that when 13 voices harmonize as one, the whole world, and especially the American music industry, has no choice but to sing along. As we leave the powerhouse energy of 17 at number 6, the stakes are only getting higher, and the next group on our list has achieved something so monumental, so culturally significant, that it changed the way American television and award shows view international artists forever. Can you guess which group managed to capture the American dream with a charm and a discography that felt like a fresh breeze in the middle of a summer heatwave? Who is the group that sits at number 5, having broken barriers that many thought were permanent? The countdown continues, and the legends are only getting bigger. Number 5, Blackpink, the Pink Revolution, the Queens of Coachella, shattering the American glass ceiling. The year was 2019, and the dry, dusty air of the Colorado Desert in Indio, California, was vibrating with a frequency it had never felt before, a sharp electric pulse of Blackpink in your area, that signaled the arrival of a new world order in music. As the 4 members Jisoo, Jennie, Rosé, and Lisa stepped onto the Sahara stage at Coachella, they weren't just performing a set, they were initiating a cultural takeover that would eventually lead them to the most prestigious podiums in the United States. To understand the magnitude of Blackpink's American prestige, we have to look past the billion-view music videos and look into the heart of an industry that, for the longest time, didn't know how to handle the sheer blink power. Their journey to the top of our list at number 5 is defined by a series of firsts that sound like something out of a fairy tale. The first K-pop girl group to perform at Coachella, then later the first Asian act to headline the entire festival in 2023, and most importantly, the first girl group in the 21st century to win Group of the Year at the MTV Video Music Awards. When they stood on that VMA stage in 2023, clutching the Moon Person for Group of the Year, they weren't just representing K-pop, they were reviving the very concept of a dominant girl group in the West, a title that had been dormant since the days of TLC and Destiny's Child. This win was a seismic event, proving that their influence wasn't just digital, it was a tangible, physical force that had conquered the American mainstream. The narrative of Blackpink is one of intense, diamond-forging pressure, beginning in the halls of YG Entertainment, where the members spent years in a training system that Jennie described as stricter than school, a literal pop star academy where only the most resilient could survive. They were the long-awaited successors to the legendary 2 NE1, burdened with the heavy expectation of carrying the YG torch, but from the moment Boombaya and Whistle dropped in 2016, it was clear they were creating a lane that was entirely their own. Their American breakthrough wasn't an accident, it was a calculated explosion. By the time they collaborated with Dua Lipa on Kiss and Make Up, the West was already leaning in, but it was the 2020 anthem How You Like That that truly broke the gates open, earning them their first MTV VMA for Song of Summer. Think about that in a season filled with American pop giants. It was 4 girls from Seoul who provided the soundtrack to the Western world summer. The prestige continued to mount with the 2023 Billboard Music Awards, where they were crowned the top K-pop touring artist, a trophy that represents the literal millions of fans who filled American stadiums during the Born Pink World Tour, turning cities from New York to Los Angeles into a shimmering sea of pink lightsticks. This wasn't just a concert tour, it was a victory lap. Every award they've received in America feels like a reflection of their individual struggles and collective triumph. Rosé, who left her family in Australia at a young age to chase a dream. Lisa, who moved from Thailand to a country where she didn't speak the language. Jennie, the multifaceted ace, who became the face of global luxury. And Jisoo, the steady, soulful anchor of the group. Their emotional depth was on full display during their 2023 Coachella headlining set, where the members looked out at a crowd of over 125,000 people and realized they had moved from the Sahara tent to the main stage in just 4 years, a meteoric rise that even the most seasoned industry veterans found staggering. The atmosphere of their American success is one of high fashion elegance, blended with raw, trap-infused power. They are the group that can sit front row at Paris Fashion Week one day and accept a prestigious award at the Prudential Center the next, never losing their pretty savage edge. As we move into 2025 and 2026, their legacy has only deepened, with members like Rosé making history at the 2025 VMAs by winning Song of the Year for APT, a historic first for any K-pop artist that further solidified the group's prestigious status in the eyes of the Recording Academy and the general American public. This win felt like a shared victory for the group, a reminder that the individual colors of Blackpink only make the collective shine brighter. Their background is rooted in the idea of black and pink. The contrast between toughness and femininity, and this duality is exactly what captured the American imagination, offering a version of girl power that felt modern, diverse, and undeniably cool. They didn't just adapt to the American market, they forced the market to adapt to them, demanding respect not as a niche act, but as the biggest girl group in the world. The reflection of their journey is seen in the way they've paved the path for every girl group that follows, proving that a Korean group can headline the biggest festivals, top the Billboard 200, and take home the most coveted trophies in Hollywood. When you watch the footage of them accepting their BBMAs or VMAs, you see the exhaustion in their eyes, the remnants of years of practice and the weight of representing an entire nation, but you also see an unbreakable pride. They have turned the Blackpink brand into a gold standard of excellence, where every comeback is a global event and every award is a piece of history. Their presence in the American awards circuit has been a masterclass in global branding and artistic evolution, moving from the rookie energy of do-do-do-do-do to the mature, world-conquering confidence of shut down. As Blackpink holds the number 5 spot on our list, they stand as the ultimate bridge between the East and the West, a group that didn't just cross the ocean but built a permanent empire on the other side. But if the queens are at number 5, who could possibly be standing even higher on this ladder of American prestige? Who is the artist that has managed to achieve something even more rare, perhaps a group or individual who hasn't just won awards, but has fundamentally altered the DNA of the American charts themselves? The air is getting thinner as we climb toward the top, and the names are only getting more legendary. Are you prepared for the shock of number 4, a group that brought a whole new meaning to the word limitless? Number 4. TXT. The Gen Z icons shattering the little brother shadow, the Lollapalooza revolution. To truly understand why Tomorrow X Together stands at this prestigious number 4 spot, we have to travel back to the year 2019, a time when the world was watching big hit entertainment with bated breath, wondering if lighting could ever strike twice in the same place. For Subin, Yeonjun, Byungyu, Taehyung, and Hwaning Kai, the weight of expectation wasn't just heavy, it was atmospheric, a crushing gravity that came from being the first group to debut after the global explosion of BTS. They were immediately labeled the Little Brothers of the Kings, a title that was both a golden ticket and a daunting shadow that threatened to obscure their own unique light. But as we stand here in 2026, looking back at their trajectory in the American music industry, it's clear that TXT didn't just step out of that shadow. They built their own sun-drenched empire, claiming prestigious American trophies that solidified their status as the voice of a generation. The pivotal moment of their American prestige arrived in 2023 during the MTV Video Music Awards at the Prudential Center, where they were crowned with the Push Performance of the Year. This wasn't just another award. The Push category is the industry's way of identifying the future of music, and for TXT to win it for their ethereal, genre-bending performance of Sugar Rush Ride was a declaration that the Gen Z icons had officially arrived as a permanent fixture of the Western mainstream. Imagine the scene. The lights dimming, the haunting flute melody echoing through the arena, and 5 individuals who once worried about being enough, proving they were more than anyone could have anticipated, delivering a performance so visually and sonically complex that it left the star-studded audience in a state of collective trance. Their prestige in America is deeply rooted in their ability to speak the emotional language of youth, a skill that earned them the historic honor of becoming the first ever K-pop group to perform at Lollapalooza in Chicago in 2022, and returning just 1 year later in 2023 to become the first K-pop group to headline the entire festival. Standing on that Bud Light stage in Grant Park, looking out at a sea of moa bongs and casual festival goers alike, TXT transformed the Chicago night into a high-octane rock show, blending their pop roots with a gritty, rebellious energy that bridged the gap between Seoul and the American heartland. This headlining set wasn't just a concert, it was a cultural milestone, a prestigious achievement that proved their music transcended the idol label and resonated with the raw, messy, and beautiful reality of young people everywhere. The atmospheric detail of their American rise is defined by the Act Sweet Mirage and Act Promise tours, where they moved from theaters to sold-out arenas, eventually making history in 2024 as the first K-pop act to perform 2 consecutive sold-out shows at New York's iconic Madison Square Garden, the mecca of basketball and the world's most famous arena. Think about the significance of that. 5 young men from Korea, standing where legends like Elvis and Led Zeppelin once stood, singing in their native tongue to a crowd that knew every lyric, every ad-lib, and every emotion. Their background is one of artistic courage. They didn't take the easy path of repeating the formula of their seniors. Instead, they dove into the name chapter and the star chapter, exploring themes of temptation, growth, and the loss of innocence through a lens of magical realism that captured the American imagination unlike anything else. When they received their nomination at the American Music Awards and the People's Choice Awards, it was a reflection of their massive digital footprint and the loyalty of the MOA fandom, who saw in Yeonjun's effortless charisma, Subin's steady leadership, Byunggyu's artistic sensitivity, Taehyung's powerhouse vocals, and Hwiningkai's multifaceted talent a mirror of their own dreams and struggles. By 2025 and 2026, their prestige has only grown, particularly through their Together for Tomorrow partnership with UNICEF, launched at the UN headquarters in New York, where they used their platform to advocate for the mental well-being of youth, a move that garnered respect not just from the music industry, but from global leaders. This level of recognition is the ultimate prestige, moving beyond chart numbers and into the realm of social influence and legacy. They have consistently dominated the Billboard 200 with a staggering 11 releases on the chart and 6 of them reaching the top 5, a feat that places them in the upper echelon of global artists who can reliably sell out stadiums and move millions of units in the US market. The reflection of their journey is seen in the way they've handled the pressure. They are no longer just the little brothers, but a group that has earned the right to be called the leaders of Gen Z. Their American accolades, from the VMA Moon Person to the Billboard plaques, are tokens of a war won against prejudice and high expectations. Every time they step onto a red carpet in Hollywood, wearing high-fashion pieces that emphasize their ethereal visuals, they carry the pride of a group that fought to define itself on its own terms. The atmosphere of their success is one of blue hour sunsets and crown triumphs. A cinematic experience that has seen them evolve from the crown-wearing boys to the freefall legends who aren't afraid to confront the darkness of the world. As we look at TXT holding the number 4 spot, we see a group that has redefined what prestige means for a younger generation of K-pop artists, proving that you don't have to be the first to be the most influential, and that authenticity is the only true currency in the American industry. Their story is a reminder that the tomorrow in their name is a promise of constant evolution, and as they continue to shatter records and win over the hearts of the Western public, one thing is certain: the world is finally seeing them for exactly who they are. But if the Gen Z icons are here at number 4, who has managed to claim the top 3 spots in this high-stakes ladder of American recognition? Who are the groups that have won even more historic trophies, or achieved firsts that seemed impossible just a few years ago? The tension is building as we enter the top 3, and the next group is one that didn't just debut, they reinvented the entire aesthetic of the global music scene in the blink of an eye. Are you ready for the top 3? Number 3. NewJeans. The Y2K phenomenon, rewriting Billboard history, the global IT girls. Imagine waking up on a quiet July morning in 2022, only to find that the entire internet has been set ablaze by a group no one saw coming, a group that didn't follow the rules of teasers, schedules, or hype building. Out of nowhere, 5 girls appeared in a music video titled Attention, and in that single moment, the DNA of the global music industry began to mutate. This wasn't just a debut, it was a cultural reset led by the visionary Min Hee-jin under the Adore label, and it would eventually catapult Minji, Hani, Danielle, Heron, and Hein into the most prestigious circles of the American music elite. To understand the prestige of NewJeans at number 3, you have to realize that they didn't just join the K-pop race. They changed the track entirely, swapping the bombastic, high-concept girl crush aesthetic for a breezy, nostalgic Y2K vibe that felt like a cool breeze in a sweltering summer. Their rise in America was like a wildfire in a drought, culminating in a series of achievements that left veterans shaking their heads in disbelief. Most notably, their historic win at the 2023 Billboard Music Awards as the top global K-pop artist. But the prestige truly peaked when they were crowned Group of the Year at the 2024 Billboard Women Music Awards, becoming the first ever K-pop female act to receive this honor, standing alongside global icons like Kylie Minogue and Ice Spice. This award wasn't just about sales, it was an acknowledgement from the highest levels of the American industry that NewJeans had fundamentally shifted the sound of modern pop. Think back to the atmosphere of Lollapalooza 2023 in Chicago, where 70,000 people, one of the largest crowds ever seen for a 5 p.m. slot, gathered at the T-Mobile stage just to catch a glimpse of the quintet. The air was thick with the scent of summer, and the sound of thousands of bunnies screaming every word to Super Shy and ETA, a moment that felt like the birth of a new era of global IT. Girls. Their background is one of calculated mystery and artistic purity. They were the first group to have 3 simultaneous entries on the Billboard Hot 100, with Super Shy, ETA, and Cool With You, a feat that even the most established Western artists struggle to achieve. When their second EP Get Up debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, it marked the quickest climb to the top for any K-pop group in history, proving that their appeal wasn't just a TikTok trend, it was a full-scale American obsession. The emotional weight of their journey is tied to their vulnerability and the girl next door image that resonated so deeply with a Western audience tired of the hyper-polished idol persona. We watched as Danielle's radiant energy, Hani's effortless groove, Minji's steady elegance, Heron's cat-like mystery, and Hyen's youthful power merged into a single, unstoppable force that conquered the New York Times Best Songs of 2024 list and earned them a spot on Rolling Stone's Future 25. But as we reflect in 2026, their prestige is also defined by their resilience. Despite the internal industry battles and the NewJeans never die spirit that trended during their contract disputes, they remained a beacon of artistic integrity, choosing to prioritize their music and their fans above the corporate noise. Their American accolades are a testament to a group that refused to be a product, instead becoming a movement, one that brought back the baggy jeans, the fuzzy hats, and the pure, unadulterated joy of pop music that feels like a memory you never actually had. Every time they step onto a stage like ABC's New Year's Rockin' Eve, they aren't just performing, they are manifesting a future where K-pop is no longer a separate genre, but a core part of the global cultural fabric. They have turned the nostalgia of the early 2000s into the future of the 2020s, earning the respect of critics who previously dismissed K-pop as manufactured. Their win at the iHeartRadio Music Awards for Best New Artist was the cherry on top of a career that has been nothing short of legendary. When you look at the sea of light sticks and the genuine tears of fans at their sold-out American shows, you realize that New Jeans isn't just a group, they are a feeling, a moment in time that we are all lucky to be living through. They have shattered the glass ceiling for female artists in a way that feels effortless, making history with a smile and a synchronized dance move that looks as natural as breathing. As New Jeans claims the number 3 spot on our list, having achieved more in 4 years than most do in a lifetime, you have to ask yourself, if this group, which redefined the very aesthetic of global pop and conquered the Billboard Women in Music stage, is only at number 3, who could possibly be higher? What kind of unimaginable power and prestige exists at the top 2 spots? We are entering the realm of the absolute titans, the groups that didn't just win awards, but became the very definition of a legend. Are you ready for the final ascent? Number 2. Twice, the global stadium queens, breaking the breakthrough, the Nine Hearts Revolution. To truly grasp the magnitude of the prestige that Twice carries in the American music industry, we have to look back at a rainy night in March 2023 at the YouTube Theater in Los Angeles, where the air was electric with a different kind of energy than your typical awards show. This was the Billboard Women in Music Awards, an elite gathering designed to honor the most influential powerhouses, shaping the landscape of music. Names like Lana Del Rey, SZA, and Becky G were in the room, and for the first time in history, a K-pop group was invited to the podium not just to perform, but to be honored with the Breakthrough Artist Award. When Jihyo, Nayeon, Jeongyeon, Momo, Sana, Mina, Taehyung, Chaeyoung, and Suyu walked onto that stage, they weren't just 9 idols from Seoul. They were the global stadium queens who had finally shattered the breakthrough barrier that had stood for decades. This award was a seismic moment of validation because the breakthrough category had previously been held by American icons like Camila Cabello and Idina Menzel, and for Twice to claim it was a signal that the industry no longer saw them as a niche international act, but as a fundamental part of the American pop fabric. But to understand the emotional weight of that trophy, we have to travel back to 2015, to the grueling days of the survival show, 16, where these 9 girls were forged in the fire of public scrutiny and intense competition, at a beginning so humble that they once performed for fewer than 100 people in local schools and sold concessions at movie theaters just to get their name out. The prestige they enjoy in 2026 is a far cry from those early struggles, built on a foundation of 9 hearts that refuse to break, even when the pressure of the 7-year curse loomed over them in 2022. Their decision to renew their contracts as a full 9-member group was the true breakthrough that fueled their American takeover, leading to the historic Ready to Be World Tour, where they became the first K-pop girl group to ever sell out the massive SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles and the legendary MetLife Stadium in New York. Imagine the atmosphere of MetLife in July 2023, over 50,000 voices singing Moonlight Sunrise in unison as the sun set over the New Jersey skyline, a sea of candy bong light sticks creating a glowing ocean that rivaled the scale of shows by Taylor Swift or Beyoncé. This wasn't just a concert. It was a demonstration of prestigious power that proved Twice had become one of the biggest touring entities in the world, regardless of genre or language. Their American prestige continued to skyrocket as they secured their first #1 on the Billboard 200 with Youth in 2024, a feat that solidified their commercial dominance. But it was their cultural impact that truly set them apart. By 2025, they were headlining the main stage at Lollapalooza, drawing one of the largest crowds in the festival's history and making a high-fashion statement as the first K-pop group to headline the Victoria's Secret fashion show in New York City, sharing the stage with legends like Missy Elliott. The narrative of Twice in America is one of slow and steady winning the race, moving from the bubblegum pop of Cheer Up to the sophisticated, disco-infused The Feels, which became their first entry on the Billboard Hot 100 and earned them an RIAA Gold certification, a record they would later shatter in 2025, when Strategy, their collaboration with Megan Thee Stallion, became the first ever RIAA Platinum certified single for a K-pop girl group. As we reflect in 2026, their prestige is defined by their limitless evolution. They are no longer just the nation's girl group in Korea, but a global institution that has mastered the art of the 360-degree stadium tour, transforming the world's most famous arenas into intimate spaces of connection. The reflection of their journey is seen in Jihyo's tearful acceptance speeches, where she often mentions that they walk together, believing in each other, a sentiment that resonates with American fans who have grown up alongside them, seeing their own struggles with identity and growth, reflected in the members' solo projects and collective triumphs. They have turned the JYP philosophy of truth, humility, and health into a global brand of excellence that the American Recording Academy and Billboard charts now recognize as the gold standard for longevity and unity. Every award they've received, from the BBMAs to the prestigious honors at the Women in Music Gala, is a piece of a legacy that says you don't have to change who you are to conquer the world. You just have to be twice as dedicated. Their background is rooted in the Once fandom, a global family that turned every American TV appearance, from The Today Show to The Late Late Show, into a viral event, proving that the demand for these 9 women was not a fleeting trend but a permanent cultural shift. As they continue their 2026 world tour, performing in the round to accommodate the millions who want to see them, the prestige of Twice stands as a monument to the power of sisterhood and the 9 hearts that beat as one. They have broken the walls of prejudice that once labeled K-pop as a manufactured product, showing the world that their artistry, their production, and their bond are as real as it gets. When you see them standing on that Billboard stage, surrounded by the elite of the American music industry, you realize that they didn't just break through the market, they redefined what it means to be a breakthrough artist for the entire world. They have earned their place at number 2, not just through numbers, but through a decade of consistent, high-quality excellence that has made them a permanent fixture in the American consciousness. But as we stand at the threshold of the number 1 spot, the tension is almost unbearable. If Twice, with their stadium-selling power, Billboard number 1 second, and historic Women in Music honors is at number 2, who could possibly be at the top of this prestigious pyramid? Who is the group that didn't just participate in the American awards scene, but fundamentally rebuilt it in their own image, achieving firsts that may never be repeated in our lifetime? The answer is as legendary as the journey itself. Are you ready for the final revelation? Number 1. BTS. The global icons. The artist of the year. The paving the way legends. The year 2021 marked a definitive, earth-shattering moment at the Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles, an event that would be etched into the annals of music history forever. As the nominees for the night's most prestigious honor, Artist of the Year at the American Music Awards, were read aloud, the names were a who's who of Western pop royalty: Ariana Grande, Drake, Olivia Rodrigo, Taylor Swift, and The Weeknd. But when the envelope was opened, it wasn't a Western name that echoed through the hall. It was BTS. The explosion of cheers that followed was more than just a celebration of a win. It was the sound of a barrier being pulverized into dust. For the first time in history, an Asian act had been crowned the absolute best in the American music industry, proving that RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook were no longer just a K-pop phenomenon. They were the standard by which all other artists were now being measured. This wasn't a victory that happened overnight. It was the culmination of a decade-long odyssey that began in a small, cramped practice room under Big Hit Entertainment, a company so small it was once on the brink of bankruptcy. To understand why BTS sits at the absolute pinnacle of this list at number 1, we have to travel back to 2013, to the No More Dream era, where 7 boys were often mocked for their name, Bulletproof Boy Scouts, and told they would never survive the cutthroat idol industry. But they didn't just survive, they thrived by speaking a truth that the Western world didn't even know it was craving: a raw, honest exploration of mental health, the pressure of expectations, and the revolutionary act of loving oneself. Their American prestige began with a whisper in 2017 when they won their first Top Social Artist at the Billboard Music Awards, ending Justin Bieber's 6-year streak and leaving the American public asking, "Who are these guys?" But the whisper soon became a roar. They moved from their U.S. television debut at the 2017 AMAs with DNA, where even Jared Leto stood in awe, to achieving 6 number-1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100 Inches just over a year, a pace of dominance not seen since the heyday of the Beatles and Michael Jackson. we reflect on the Dynamite era of 2020, a song that brought a literal explosion of hope to a world paralyzed by the pandemic, earning them their first historic Grammy nomination for Best Pop Duo, Group Performance. This was the moment the Recording Academy could no longer look away. The atmosphere of their Grammy journey is one of both immense pride and salty reflection for the ARMY. Despite delivering what many consider the greatest performance in Grammy history with their Mission Impossible-themed Butter stage in 2022, the trophy remained elusive, yet the standing ovation they received from the elite of Hollywood was a prestige that no gold-plated gramophone could truly quantify. By 2026, looking back from our current vantage point, their impact has only deepened. We have seen every single member from Jin's emotional vocal triumphs to Jungkook's golden pop dominance achieve solo top 10 albums on the Billboard 200, making them the first group in history where every member is a verified solo powerhouse in the US market. The prestige of BTS is also found in the halls of the United Nations, where they have stood 3 times to address world leaders, moving beyond the role of entertainers to become special presidential envoys for future generations and culture. This is a level of prestige that transcends music. It is diplomatic influence on a global scale. As we stand in 2026, the anticipation for their full group return and the newly announced Beyond the Scene World Tour is reaching a fever pitch, with stadiums like AT&T Stadium and MetLife already seeing unprecedented demand. They have turned the purple color into a global symbol of unity, a movement that has bridged continents and languages, proving that Korean is no longer a barrier but a badge of honor in the American charts. Every award they hold, the 11 American Music Awards, the 12 Billboard Music Awards, the MTV VMAs serves as a reminder of the blood, sweat and tears it took to pave the way for every other group on this list. They are the architects of the bridge that the others now walk across, the pioneers who faced the initial skepticism, the language prejudice, and the niche labels, so that the world could finally see K-pop for the artistic juggernaut it truly is. Their background is rooted in the bulletproof spirit, a promise to protect the dreams of youth, and as they stand at number 1, they remain the humble 7 boys from Korea who simply wanted to be heard. The reflection of their journey is found in the millions of lives changed by their Love Myself campaign, a legacy that will outlast any chart record. They have achieved the impossible, turning a local dream into a global reality. And as the lights dim on our countdown, there is no doubt that BTS doesn't just top the list, they are the list. Their story is the ultimate documentary of triumph, a cinematic masterpiece of 7 lives intertwined with a global family called ARMY, proving once and for all that when you speak from the heart, the entire world, especially America, will listen. They are the kings, the icons, and the eternal number 1.